Good idea. I'm
I
headed
kind of
there
like
now.
this. I kind of like this a little better. This seems better than having to deal with Be Live TV. Even though this is something we just learned, it's way better already.
Yeah, this is what we use our merch money, and honestly, and it's nice. Oh, I see us. Yeah.
You see us.
Hi.
It might be working. All right, let's see. We'll throw it in the group too.
I love how you guys call yourselves the e-com hustle couple. I just love that.
It just kind of, we haven't even done anything with it yet. It just kind of happened a little bit, and I'm like, all right, I don't know. It might stick, especially if we start doing actually a channel or something.
Yeah, y'all should. Y'all have a lot to offer.
Yeah, we haven't come up with a cool couple name.
I was gonna call you, and I didn't. I was gonna be like, with the Mrs. Merch Elephant, and then I didn't. I just figured it. It'll come out. So because I'm like, I don't know if is she gonna come up with something different? All right, so it does show. It shows that we have 2 viewers, so probably Matt and John, our husbands.
No, Matt's not even. I don't even know where he is.
I'm in there, so I'm probably one of them.
You're one of them.
So yeah, I'm gonna say hi.
Yeah, we'll wait for people to pop on a little bit. I don't know how. I did put where you could actually are supposed to be able to see the comments and stuff, but like I don't know how to do that.
I don't know.
You guys see any
You have
comments?
to open up YouTube on another thing.
Cool. Got it.
See him here. It won't pop up
No,
here.
that's only your chat between the people in the Hangout.
Okay, so it's kind of like if I'm viewing it from somebody else. Got it. So I just need to go to the link myself, right?
What YouTube?
The one that I posted. That's what I'll do.
And
then I'll mute it. Ah, I see. So then it's a little delayed, right, Matt?
Yes, so there's going to be like a 5 to 10 second delay.
But just have it on mute and then just see.
I see. Oh, how fun. And I'm just going to, you know what? I can just cover it up.
Go in there.
You can just pause the video. That's what I do.
Oh, you're so genius. And then the
chat will still be the chat will still be live.
Smart lady. Look at this. We're just getting it together. All right. Woohoo! Amy 1 is here. Brenda Carter's here. Oh my god, like I like this so much. This already feels way better than Be Live.
And I think we're gonna go with YouTube from now on, and
that's it.
With that other channel and everything next week, and it's gonna be great, and it's working out, and
exactly. Yeah, so just letting all the friends know here, we are not using Be Live TV anymore, which is the reason we had so many technical issues. I think the developers of that program just kind of gave up. They're like, forget it. There's too many glitches. We're not going to do anything. So it was a paid thing too. It was annoying. So we are going to grow up, put our big girl panties on, and welcome to YouTube, my friends, because that's what we are doing here. So I can see the comments there, and
which was always a problem with Be Live too. So it's already that much better.
It's right. I know what took us so darn long. You know, I was just like
because we really wanted to like it.
I wanted to like it, and I don't know why, but this is so cool. And you know what I think it too is because we weren't sure what everybody was doing, like YouTube wise. So we just kind of was like, let's just like not worry about it. So now, so if everybody can see, obviously right now you are on a very neglected YouTube channel that I started like a while ago. There's like 4 videos talking about the drama of my suspension. So if you haven't seen that, you can go back and watch all that drama, which is kind of hilarious. Funny now, right? So time plus, what is it? It's like tragedy plus time equals comedy. Isn't that what it is or something? I don't know.
Sounds good to me.
I totally watch it when I'm having a bad day.
I'm so glad that I could be that for you. See, if anybody's having a bad day, there you go. But yeah, it's been neglected. And so here's the deal is that we are actually going to be going on to the Girl Boss YouTube channel. That is going to be happening next week, but it's in the process of getting set up. So we needed something to hop on real quick. So we're just going to borrow this one for this week. But moving forward, we will have this going on the official Girl Boss channel. And we've been talking about it. We might actually do something along the lines of getting this channel, you know, up and running here as well. But who knows? No promises for that. And so, okay, but so let's get to it, you guys. I'm so excited. We actually have Miss Erin Sharon on with us tonight. So say hey.
Hi.
I'm like, it is really cool to have you on. It really is. The other half. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
I'm in my corner, but I'm actually on the screen this time.
Is that where you too? It's great.
Yeah, it's like weird. It's like same room, just different side of the desk.
There you go. So yeah, so we're excited. You know, Erin is actually part of the all the moderators that are in the Girl Boss group. So, you know, it's really awesome to be you know, joined together with just some really amazing chicks. And, you know, I know that she has a ton to bring to the community, but I think a lot of people can totally relate to you, Erin, that this might be a little bit out of your comfort zone, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, because usually if I see anything, I'm big fan of, you know, Merch Elephant and Real Talk with Matt and RJ, and you know, so we get to see them on YouTube sharing content, and then I get to hear you from like the side, but I don't see you.
That's how I like it.
So yeah, but I do know that you're kind of challenging yourself because you know that, I mean, you do have a lot to offer the community, and you kind of are doing it because you want to, you know, put it out there and just help some people, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I had this overwhelming feeling of like, I mean, some of you kind of know what I've been dealing with this past couple of weeks, and it's actually been longer, you know, probably closer to a couple months. And I just kept getting this feeling of like, I want to help people, and not necessarily merch strategies. It was more like personal. Like I was like, I want to see if I can like shed some light on some people sometimes when they feel so in despair about who knows. So
yeah. Well, I think that, you know, there's a couple of things, if I'm sure everybody does know, but if you do not, so Erin does merch with her husband, Matt, and again, he's kind of the one that like is on, you know, the videos, does a lot of awesome teaching videos, is on Real Talk with RJ Martinez, and, you know, Erin does as a huge part of their business, but kind of, you know, a little bit in the background, kind of like my hubby. He'll totally hop on here, you know, if I had asked him, but he's more comfortable, you know, chilling. But I think that it's very awesome of you that you've decided to be like, hey, you know, there's stuff that I think is not just the how-tos, and especially, you know, working with your husband on this, working from home, because this is basically, you know, your full-time deal, not just merch. I know that you guys are you know, having an awesome Etsy business and a lot of other things going on, but, you know, you do work from home, and that's a challenge just in itself to work full-time from home, right?
yes, very much.
Yeah.
Like,
and I mean, it's
having the lack of people around you, because like Matt's gone all day, and so it's nice to kind of have like this little merch family that you can kind of hop on and see your friends or chit chat or whatever. So
yeah, totally.
It's a great community for that too, because like what we do can be kind of lonely, so it is nice to just be able to get online and there's people there.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's pretty weird, kind of what we do if we think about it. Like, it becomes normal to us, but I mean, you get out there and people are like, "What do you do?"
Yeah, exactly.
Or they don't think we do anything.
Yeah,
right.
That too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, there's a couple of things here. I want to set the tone a little bit for this evening, because I was thinking that it was going to be super cool to kind of chat a little bit with Amy about her Inktober, okay? Because I've been seeing her post this, and I think it is super cool. And both of you guys, here's the thing that I think is awesome too, is both of you guys are kind of really rooted in like the design aspect of this. I know, Amy, you're working really hard to build your design skills, and, you know, Erin, that's her profession. Before, you were in interior design, right?
Yes. And
so, so now it's t-shirts and everything else. And so share a little bit about what this Inktober is, but I've been seeing all your awesome posts, Amy, and you got me curious.
Well, thanks. Yeah, so basically Inktober, the whole month of October, you dedicate to drawing something every single day, and there's these official prompts. So you look at the prompt, like today's prompt would be precious. So I have to think about something that I'm inspired by when I hear that word, and I just draw it. And they want you to do it in ink, but you can use whatever method you're most comfortable with. So, but basically that's it in a nutshell. It's just drawing something every day, and it helps you to.
Who are you saying? Who is they? Like, who's this?
This guy named Jake, I believe is his name. I might be wrong. I'm like 90% sure it's some Jake dude who came up with this idea, Inktober, like 2, 3, 4 years ago. And every year it's just grown and grown. I first heard about it last year, but I thought it had something to do with tattoos. And I was like, who can like do a tattoo every day?
Do that every day.
Like who's doing this? But then it's like, oh no, it's art. And then this year it popped up on all the social media and stuff, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. So I've been doing it.
That's cool. So are you do you do any of your own drawings to t-shirt?
Yeah,
have you done that?
Yeah, I have. I totally have. None that I've done on for Inktober yet, except my chicken. That's totally going on a shirt. But no, I haven't done any of these new ones, but there's tons of shirts I have that have my original work on.
Okay, so I've never done anything like, so what's the process with that, like whether what you used to do or what you would do with this from actually having original artwork? Because I think that's awesome. And I don't think that there's a lot of people that are doing that. Like they might be utilizing illustrators, and sure there are, I mean, you guys go ahead and throw it up in the comments if you are actually doing your own original art, which I think is amazing and I think would be really, really fun to do. But what's the process with that?
Well, like I got sick and tired of like buying designs and stuff and knowing that there's a ton of other people using them. And it's like, well, what if somebody comes after me? And I've had that happen on Redbubble with a design that I did have license for. And it was just like, okay, there's too much risk here. And then when Chris Green shared that that iPad, the new one, the regular, not the Pro, was going to be able to be used with the Apple Pencil, I'm like, perfect, because that's what I was going for. I wanted the Pro and wanted to be able to create my own work. So when it was finally more affordable for where I was at, it's like, okay, I'm all in. Got that, got right to work learning Procreate, and that's pretty much where I hang out. And I just digitally color and draw, and it's fun. It really is. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. You know, I definitely think that would be a lot of fun. I would just have to commit to using it and making it worth it, because I don't have a newer iPad. I actually had bought one when I first got started, and I thought that's kind of like what I would do. And so I do have the pencil actually, but I returned the iPad Pro because I was like, I'm not going to utilize this as much. I was actually at that time kind of refining my skills with Illustrator and trying to learn and get up to speed with that. And I'm like, I'm just not gonna use it as much as I should. But I think that would be really awesome. So anyways, yeah, if you guys haven't seen those, I mean, I wish we could do like screen shares, or you want to flip through some of them? Do you have it with you?
No, I don't. Actually, I don't, because I'm literally using my iPad for this right now. So.
Oh, okay. So wait, so like all those, so when you show it, like some of those sketches and stuff, that it looks like it's on paper, but it's not. That's just on.
No, most of them are. There's some that are from.
Oh, okay.
But I take the picture with the iPad and just throw it up that way. But there are some that I've done digitally, which I prefer because I think it looks cleaner and it's quicker, and I can hide behind layers, which is always nice. Whereas with like just straight up pen, you see all my mistakes. I see.
Yeah, you're committed. So, and that's probably why they want you to do it in ink. Maybe psychologically,
because it's permanent. Something. It's permanent. You have to get over yourself, and it's not you're not in a competition with anyone. It's just to have fun and get better and improve in the craft. So
what have you found through that process? Like you've been doing it for like 8-9 days now. Like, how are you feeling about the challenge?
I feel like I'm getting better. I don't feel as much pressure, but it is very vulnerable putting like stuff out there for everybody, which was not what I was originally going to do, but it just kind of ended up headed that way. And you know, the feedback's been cool. But I feel good about it. I enjoy it. I look forward to it every day. So I want to make it a regular part of my life where I am doing something each day just to kind of stay creative and different. And, you know, you have to improve to grow. So.
Erin, do you have you done anything like that? Like, or how do you, like create, do you do anything like illustration wise?
No. Most of my designs are pretty basic. I don't go super crazy. If we need something that's a little bit more detailed, we have illustrators for that. Because it's like, I mean, you kind of saw me through my struggle with Illustrator because I'm such a Photoshop nerd. And I was like I would write to Amanda and be like, Amanda, please, I don't want to cry anymore. This is stupid program. I hate it because it was just like different enough that it would drive me crazy. So everything I do is on the computer. I feel like that's where I'm most comfortable. So like drawing something, and we even got a Wacom tablet.
We have one in the closet.
Okay, yeah, and I've never.
In the closet.
I've heard those things are badass.
I mean, this
Honestly,
kind
we
of
should
like
probably do a giveaway with it because it's never.
I was gonna say,
okay, well, but this whole Inktober.
Well, I'll be signing up for that giveaway. Drop my name in that hat.
I honestly feel like, you know, maybe this Inktober where it's like, okay, today do this. Like that might be a little bit easier for me to like focus than just sitting down and being like, what do I draw? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
So,
the prompts I find are helpful, and you don't have to use pen and pad. Like you could totally do it on Illustrator or something that you want to get better at and to make a habit of learning. So I mean,
she doesn't want to do it on Illustrator. No, she doesn't.
Hey, Photoshop is good too.
I'm actually much better. I've figured out ways to make it work for me, but yeah, like drawing something on there, no, I don't draw anything. Like I am not, even in school for interior design, like they always start you off drawing, like hand creating like floor plans and stuff and like line weights and things like that. And I was like, oh, when are we getting to the computer? I hate this. Like it was so awful. But you know, it kind of helps your mind think when you have to do that step, you know, first. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe I should use that tablet.
Sparking out
Sorry, giveaway is canceled.
I know.
Yes,
Sorry,
go Boston.
Like totally, you know, don't like use it. Then we'll just give it away. So it's
like we need proof of your drawings, or that's it. You have to give it away.
Yeah. Like everybody's like, no, they suck. Give it away.
So, yeah. So you know, and just kind of to go back a little bit because I do want to talk. You know, a little bit more on the topic that you mentioned, Erin. If everybody doesn't know, so Erin just had a really big, you know, loss in the family, and it was difficult. You know, there was travel, there was things that had to happen. You know, she had to leave some events. They weren't able to come to Seattle, and so again, that was kind of something that you know, kind of triggered her to think about this and inspired her to want to share and give back. And I think that probably throughout that time, like you said, there was a lot of things that you thought about that weren't necessarily the how-tos on merch. So what do you think was, you know, something that, you know, you were really, you know, motivated to share or kind of want to talk about, whether it was related to something like that in that event or something that you had been going through that you can share with the community?
My biggest thing was like, I feel like a lot of people sort of get into this hole that is either like trying to make things work on merch, or maybe you're a single mom and you have 4 kids, you're doing a job and you're doing merch, or like you have all of these things in the air and then you just keep focusing and maybe using things that aren't healthy for you. Like maybe you're not, what's the word? See, this is where I get stuck. Like you're ignoring the issues by like working too much, or maybe you're eating, or maybe you drink too much, or maybe you're using something else and you're just ignoring the things that are actually bothering you.
Putting the Band-Aids on.
It's just going to start to just seep into your life everywhere. And so I think my biggest thing was that keeps popping in my head is self-care. So many people forget that and how important it is. And so I think that was like the thing, like people say like, oh, I failed, so I don't want to do that again. And it's like, no. Failing is a part of everything. Like, just because you fail doesn't mean it's the end. It just means you have to find out that different way of doing it. So I felt like, you have RJ, you have Matt, you have Amy, you have all of you guys, and you guys all talk about strategies and everything. And I think some of the girl bosses definitely go into more of like the more personal things, like taking care of yourself or whatever. And I felt like I don't want to get into strategies and do all that. That's been done. I feel like I want to keep reminding people how important they are and how they need to put themselves in a position where they're doing things for them, because it's only going to help everything else. And maybe, I don't know, maybe they're just in a dark place and need to be like, holy crap, I need to maybe change this one thing, and then it can like trickle down into everything. So, I mean, I don't really know. It was just like, I don't really know where this whole thought, that's like, I was talking to Amy and I was like, I have all these thoughts and I don't know how to organize them and like do something with them. And so she's like, well, just go on with Amy and Amanda and they'll just kind of like, get you going. And I'm like, all right, do it. So
you have too much faith in us, Amy. No.
We'll pull it out.
No,
So,
that's awesome. And I think you're right too, because I know like it's easy to forget and it's easy to get like caught up in the, oh my gosh, I need to sell X amount of shirts, and you forget and your priorities get kind of jacked up, and there needs to be more self-care and focus. So I think it's wonderful that that's kind of what you feel like you're being called to.
yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I agree. And I think that it doesn't just necessarily apply to, like you said, to necessarily merch. And I know that we can connect, and we're thinking about this because obviously this is from the girl boss point of view. And we know a lot of moms, like you said, that have kids that are trying to weave this in. And then, whether it's people that do or don't have kids, there's also, guys out there that are going out and they're working a full-time job. And maybe they're just like, the reason why they're doing it is because they want to be with their family more often. And so it's like, okay, I'm working a full-time job and I have this pressure to provide for my family. And then I'm coming home and burning the midnight oil at the same time. And, I think that we've seen a lot of that because I've been able to talk with some of our people in our other groups, and or even this, there's some of the guys that are doing this. They have their business and they're also taking care of the kids as well. So it's like, I think that this hits a huge topic all around, just for anybody. And I think that it's all great for us to be amped up and, Gary V and all this, to where it's like not sleeping and hard hitting and grind. And I think that, for the most part, most people know that like I thrive like on that stuff, not on the no sleep part. And actually I say the Gary V because he's not about the no sleep either. Like it's very important, but yes, there's sometimes when you are like in the midst of building something where you might not get as much sleep. I can remember in the beginning going really, really hard, but it wasn't like it wasn't draining me. There's a difference. There's a difference. And when you feel energized, I was energized to do it. And so it wasn't like I was getting up and, dragging myself to the computer and doing it. Like I was so amped up to do it. And I think that there's something that people need to realize when that fades or goes away. It doesn't necessarily mean that this isn't, for you. It could just mean that, hey, friend, you might be hitting a little bit of a burnout. And like you said, take a little time for yourself, figure out your priorities. Even though, some people might be doing it for their family, making sure that that's a priority is a big thing because, sadly, you just never know, what's going to happen. So you just don't want to continue to just focus so much on work because of what you want to achieve in the future. Like you need to be in the present as well and appreciate, what's now instead of just always chasing. Because I mean, I think a lot of times too, when we get into this working from home and working for ourselves, from that point on, if you're going to be a full-time, if you want to say entrepreneur, working online, anything, there will always be something to do for the rest of your life and beyond at that point. So.
Well, yeah. And it really came to head when like, I've literally been gone for 2 weeks, and I had my laptop with me, but the amount of energy or thought that I felt like I could actually open it and do anything was like, it took a lot. And even before that, it was probably a good month before I was even gone for 2 weeks that I was dealing with my family stuff. And it was just like, I mean, thankfully I have Matt who can put on many hats and even put on his design hat and, got some shit done. So, I mean, can we cuss on this?
Oh yeah, now it's legal.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah, it's cool.
We're gonna bring that up too.
Right,
dude, we can say whatever the heck we want. We just can't say the C word. We can absolutely say the fuck word a lot because that like for sure like goes right through processing. Right. Like that was like the first thing to go through processing. There's all these other things that weren't, but everybody's like, "Ooh, the F shirts are going through." I'm like, "Wow."
Yeah, I'm still a little dumbfounded by the whole lack of C word usage, but fine. But so yeah, like, but I was just thinking, God, there's people where if like when they're not doing it, there's no backup, like I'm totally forgetting her name, Anna. When she was going through everything with her husband and everything, she was the one who was like carrying that weight of everything. And it was just like, I was so thankful that I had Matt, but I just kept thinking about people who maybe were doing it all on their own, or their wife, boyfriend, sister, whoever, they weren't doing anything with them. Like they didn't have anybody to fall back on. So I was just grateful that I had that opportunity and could, the business was rolling, even though I wasn't really doing anything. So that was like another thing too, where I know that I'm not, I mean, there's other people that don't have that option. So
yeah. And I think that one of the solid points though too is when you do think about that is that though they might need to take a step back, I think again some people really need to kind of prioritize. If something happens and you don't have a backup and you're working merch, well, guess what? Like nobody's, hounding you. Nobody's waiting on you. Nobody, nothing's going to happen. You're not losing money, obviously, unless you're paying VAs that entire time. Like you can just step back, and you should step back and take that time because again, you're never going to get that back.
Yeah.
So.
For sure.
Now, do y'all try to take time out to focus on just relaxing regularly, or is that really hard for y'all to do? Because for me, sometimes it's easier, and sometimes it's like, oh, I can't. Like I can't.
I kind of feel like when I'm at that point where like nothing's working, or like my brain just feels like I don't even know, like just empty. Mm-hmm. I go sit outside on my patio. Like we have like a patio set and we just like kind of redid the backyard. So it's like, I can go sit out there for 5-10 minutes and just take a breather, or maybe I should take a shower because maybe I didn't do that already today. You know what I mean? Like little things like that, like just realizing that you're a person and that you have, I'm always thinking like, okay, I'm kind of feeling this way. Like, what can I do to make myself feel a little bit more energized or like whatever? And so, yeah, like step away from the computer or go take your dog on a walk or go to Target. Cause that's like one of my favorite places.
Oh, Target's amazing.
It's like, or FaceTime with somebody that you haven't talked to in a while. I mean, like I always try to like, know that it's okay to do that, because sometimes you feel like, oh, I can't stop, I have this and this to do, but it's like, but if you're going to do it all half-assed because you're not there mentally, like
that is true,
get anywhere, or it's not going to be what you want it to be. So I just think it's important to listen to yourself, because I think if your body or your mind is telling you something, like you should just figure out how to kind of figure it out, how to make it feel better, whatever it is, depending.
Yeah.
Do you try to carve out that time like every day, like even if it's just for like 5-10 minutes? Like, are you intentionally trying to set time to focus on you as a person and not the business and the this and all the hats that we have to wear?
I should set like a certain time. Like I try not to eat at my desk anymore. Like I used to just eat lunch while I work. I either will eat out in the living room, turn on like a show I like, chill out for a little bit with my dog. Cause sometimes he's like, are you just going to sit at the desk all day? You know, or sit outside or go meet somebody for lunch. So I do try to like do little things like that. I know a couple people I talk to, like they make time to read every day, like at least 30 minutes. And it doesn't have to be like a business book. It can be like, you know, like whatever they like to read. I don't do that, but I keep telling myself I should. But I think it's just like a process that I'm still trying to work out because I feel like it's necessary. But as of right now, I don't have like a set, like, okay, I have an hour a day and I'll split it up into 15 minutes or 2 half hours or whatever. I think I'm still learning what it is that I need. So.
Well, I think that it's actually, you know, a constant learning process with that because, you know, you know, I've been working from home full time now for it's been 12 and a half years. So pretty much almost right out of college, you know, so it's something that, you know, it went from, you know, me doing it by myself, you know, John and I were just friends at the time. And then, you know, once we got together, he was doing it too, but then just part-time. And then a few years, you know, we got together. So it was like, it was something to where first I had to figure it out. I do remember, you know, working it solo and how incredibly almost insane you feel like you're going. It was the 3 year. I remember it was 3 years in. This is why John, you know, is doing it full time. It was kind of the thing that pushed it over the edge. I was just like, I'm talking to dogs. Like John would come home and I would be like, da 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 da, because obviously clearly I'm a talker, you know, and he's just like, whoa, you know, I've just dealt with clients all day. Can I have a minute? I'm like, absolutely not, because I'm talking to the dogs all day long and I'm about to lose my mind because it's not like I was communicating with anybody at that point. And, you know, the business was good. We were, you know, it was great, but I was just like, listen, like I need to do something else. I need human interaction. And so we need to figure this out. And so, you know, the main thing that was holding us back at that point was like the benefits. Because that was the thing. It was a little scary. Like I said, fortunately, both of us were, you know, healthy. So we didn't have, you know, too many concerns there. But that, I mean, it still doesn't guarantee anything. So we're like, oh, gosh, you know, what do we do? How much is insurance? And, you know, then you have retirement. So all of these things that we had to kind of think through. But it was, you know, that much better once he did, you know, come home, obviously. But then that's all new as well. Then you're learning how to full-time partner up and work with your spouse. And so I feel like it's that constant challenge and change that happens, you know, in your life. I know that, you know, Erin, you guys are actually potentially working towards doing a full-time partnership as well, to where, you know, because Matt has a pool business and that might be something that, and I know in your guys' you know, future, he wants to sell that and you guys will fully partner up. So I think it's just constant, and I think it's kind of exciting if you view it that way, because your life is like never going to be stagnant, especially in this space. You know, there's always going to be something new. And I know you guys actually do a couple of things. Talk a little bit about maybe about the past year, because I know that you guys had, when you started with merch initially, you had already been doing some Etsy stuff, but, you know, blew it up with the eclipse. And then talk us through a little bit about the year and then how your business has kind of changed over that time, not only between you two and like how things are working, but like the different time allocations to whether it's different platforms, some of the things that you guys have tried, you know, because I feel that there's been a lot over the past, you know, everybody's just trying to kind of get their bearings, which is normal. But kind of tell us about that and then where you guys are at now.
I'm
that
like,
a question. Sorry.
Really, like, better than me.
Step up to the plate.
Oh, okay. So, you
got this. You got this.
Well, when I was doing, okay, so when I first met Matt, I was working in LA as a designer for like interiors. I wasn't doing graphic design at all. I did dabble in it on my own, but nothing major. So like he was like to the point one day where he was just like, yeah, you can like totally quit your job. Like we don't even need to deal with that. And you can get into doing something that you want. And I was just like,
share the background. Like, why did I tell you to quit your job?
oh, because I like hoped that I would get in a car accident before I went to work, so I didn't have to actually go to my job.
Oh, wow. Yeah. No.
Or I was hoping every time I turned the bend on the 105 that the building was just on fire. Like that was just like the thing I would just hope for every day.
So you dreaded it. Like it was like the worst possible thing would be stepping through that building.
Every moment I hated it. And towards the end it was just really bad. So that's why he was like, just stop, like this isn't worth it. I'd rather you just be home with me. And I was just like kind of reluctant at first because like I've just been one that I work. I'm not like, oh, let's stay at home and like have bonbons and watch soap operas all day. Like, I don't know. So that's when he was like, well, let's figure out what you want to do. So that's when we kind of got into Etsy and I started doing like, I discovered like instant downloads. Like I could create like whatever I wanted and then somebody could buy it and instantly download it at any time and as many times as they want. And I just thought that was so cool. So I thought, well, whatever, it doesn't cost me really anything to do that.
So what was that though? Like, cause I'm not familiar with that. So what did you do that was an instant download?
So basically like in Photoshop, because I was so anti-Illustrator, I would just create things. If it was like a saying or I would buy like packs and make like nursery prints and then people could buy them and then the file was instantly emailed to them and then they could just download it, right, and print it. And you could print it up to like five different sizes and they could print it at home. They could go to Kinko's or Costco or wherever and print it. Yeah. Or if they wanted it for like parties or anything like that. So I just was like, and my stuff was like, I look at some of that stuff and I'm like, whoo, holy shit, that's terrible. But but it was like kind of like the Inktober. You're just doing stuff. Like you're just trying new things and you're seeing what works. And like and Matt at that point was not helping me at all with SEO. He was very unfamiliar kind of with the whole Etsy platform.
Well, and he was a cool boy.
I know, like that. He was like, this was like your thing. This is like my thing. No,
he wasn't in the room. That's why I was able to say it. Okay.
But and so it was kind of like my thing and he was just letting me kind of run wild with it, which was fine. And then he started watching Gary Vee all the time. Was it Gary Vee or was it Reezy?
No, I started looking for a way to pay off our wedding.
Oh yeah, because we got married. We were getting married, and so he was like, "Oh, I wonder if we could have some side hustles or whatever." So he started. I think he stumbled upon Gary. Gary mentioned Reezy, and somewhere because he was like talking about how he sold like $800,000 in books or some shit. So Matt was like, "Okay, let's sell some books," and I was like, "Oh, shoot me in the face," because this is not as like creative at all. But we did it for like 2 months. And then from Reezy, he found RJ because RJ was like interviewed by Reezy one night. And so then we rolled into all of this thing. And so a week before we got married, we got accepted into merch. And I was just like, I don't care what this is. I don't know what it is. I am getting married. I have all this shit to do, like whatever. So when we got back, that's when we started doing merch. And I kind of just took some of my designs from the Etsy store and kind of transitioned them into our merch shirts and was like, okay, well, maybe we can do this. Like maybe the stuff that was selling on Etsy, I could be like, oh, well, maybe I could put on a shirt. So we started to do that. And then he found out about the whole like trending stuff. So that's how he came into like 4th of July because it was right around June when we started. And then we hit the eclipse and we were like, okay, screw Etsy, merch this to that. Like, what are we doing? Like, how do we do this?
So like, who takes credit for the idea
of the eclipse?
That's me.
That was Matt, because Matt was probably on Merch Informer?
Yeah.
Yes. So, selfish Neil, thanks for that. But like he was
we had an argument about that. I remember that because it was like literally like, who the fuck is gonna buy a goddamn Eclipse shirt?
Yeah, I was like, I love space. I love Eclipse. Like the Eclipse is like rad to me, but I would never buy a shirt that said whatever. Like I don't like people to know what I've done in my life based on my clothing. I don't want to wear in and out shirts or like whatever. Like I just don't want to do it. So I was just like, whatever. He's like, I don't know, they're selling. And I'm like, okay, well, I want to do something different because like everybody's doing like the circle with the glow and the date. I'm like, this is lame. So we kind of did a couple things and then it just like,
I mean, you could tell us now because it's over. And you don't have to, but
well,
I might steal it for 2024.
Go ahead. I don't care. It was just the United States outline. We did a couple versions. One I did with like an overlay of like night. So it looked like lights were lit up all over like if you were like a city at night. And then I had like the glowing dots of like the line of how the eclipse was going to go through. And then it said like,
Great American
no, we
Eclipse.
can't say Great American Eclipse.
Like
oh, the hilarious thing was I put it through once and put the Great American Eclipse and it got rejected because I think it was
somebody had a
just,
trademark on it.
yeah, I think I typed in Great American Eclipse, not the Great American Eclipse. So nothing came up when I typed it in.
Right.
And I was almost like, I'm not going to re-upload that. And I think that was like the best selling one. We just took it out and put like total solar eclipse and then the date, and that was it. But we almost didn't even put one of those shirts up that ended up being like one of the top 2 ones that sold. So it's just crazy.
That's awesome.
But so from there, like we just kind of did like the whole merch thing forever. And then when stuff was getting real weird after the freeze last year, we just kind of were like, okay, it just kind of made us realize that putting all our eggs in the merch basket was probably not super smart, or we might just be leaving money on the table other places because other platforms have different customers and things that work on merch may not work on Etsy and vice versa. And it was just like, okay, well, what are we doing here? How do we kind of grow this out? Because with merch, you don't always have control over things. Like Amazon can do whatever they want. They're Amazon. So you're a little bit lost sometimes because you're like, yeah, I sold like 50 shirts yesterday. And then the next day you're like, and we sold 2. We're like, okay, so like what's going on? So
yeah,
it was kind of like, okay, well, we enjoy what we're doing. We enjoy the whole e-com kind of lifestyle. But I mean, maybe we need to like grow our Rolodex of platforms. So, we went on Redbubble and we're on Teespring.
Redbubble, Teespring, Spreadshirts, Cafe Press, which fucking sucks.
And then
Etsy,
and Etsy.
merch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Etsy was kind of my jam. Like I kind of liked Etsy because it was just, I don't know, I resonated more with that than merch. Like merch was still like all over the place and you had to like make things for like everybody. And I don't really like everybody. It was hard because like on Etsy, I could like niche down and like do this stuff I really want and like, or whatever. So, but I mean, Etsy's been really good for us. So it's just kind of like, that was kind of like our thought process. So, now I feel like we're kind of gung-ho on Etsy right now. Merch is still there. Like we're doing things because it's like, especially with Q4, I mean, you could really throw up a lot of different stuff and hit. But I mean, I'm not ever going to say, oh, just put everything up there and it'll sell for Q4. But you have people buy so many more different things because it's Q4 for gifts and everything. But it's just like a different animal than the other quarters. But so I feel like we're definitely going in on Etsy. And I think a lot of one of our biggest things right now is we want to build a brand, and you can't do that on merch. I mean, you probably can, but it's not really what we're looking to do. So we want to build that brand on Etsy, and we can like build out the social media and then like move it actually off of Etsy, do Shopify or like whatever, like have our own space. And where we have just like our audience already knows where to go. And so I think that's like our biggest thing, because I have so many things that like I designed for that I love that are near and dear to my heart. And I feel like that's why sometimes with merch, I'm like, ugh, I don't even want to deal with it, even though I know it's like a good opportunity. And I don't ever just, you know, drop it completely, but I really enjoy my time with Etsy. So I think that's like my biggest thing right now. So moving forward, I think that's where we're kind of headed, is building a brand, and maybe multiple brands. I don't really know. So we're kind of in that early stage of figuring all of that out. So I don't know if that answered your question.
No, it totally does. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that that's awesome. And I think that what it shows too is like throughout the process is that you always kind of want to step back and analyze what's going on, and not necessarily just based on results. Like obviously there's a creative outlet that is a little bit more something that's fulfilling to you when you're talking Etsy. And I can totally understand, especially being, you know, creative and you wanting to put something out there, like you said, specific people or specific audience, and you can't connect with people on Amazon. Like they're not necessarily your customers. You're not giving customer service. There's not that, and especially with merch, because I mean, you're not even the seller of record. Like, you know, I try and think about this in a sense of some of our physical product stuff, and when we do our private label stuff, and we're actually doing a very similar thing there. Is we are, you know, we've been with Amazon for so long, and it's funny because, yeah, we are Amazon sellers, and we're very comfortable with that platform, and we know how to launch products, and we know how to, you know, capture market share within Amazon. And so not necessarily moving off of it, but, you know, working to build a list and have our customers and being able to serve them in the way that we want to outside of Amazon, it is a totally different thing, but it gets me very, very, very excited because we're doing something to, you know, people that we like. You know, the space that we're in are the people that we, you know, don't mind connecting with or want to do. It's not like you said, it's not like we're just making a ton of different shirts and somebody's gonna, you know, complain about this X shirt and we really don't care. Like, we're in the pet space and we absolutely love dogs. And, you know, if I were to sit here and do something, like, I guarantee here's like one of the cool parts is like everything that we've learned, you know, over this past year since being with merch is that we're going to be able to apply that in other areas as well, because we will absolutely, like, once we have, a strong community and our own brand, we will have t-shirts, fun t-shirts that have fun, you know, sayings. And you know what? You might see, you know, there might be an awesome, crazy, fun, cool saying. And once it is on merch, obviously, and it starts to do well, then you have 100 that follow right after it. And that's the same thing with the physical products as well. And it is kind of hard. It's very hard to differentiate yourself once that starts to happen. But by, you know, serving your community and your customers and building that brand, you're able to do that. And, you know, people really like that. So everybody loves Amazon. You know, I purchase from them. That's fantastic. Like, their Amazon's pretty much everything. I know, like you had mentioned Target. I don't even go into Target. It's like Costco and Amazon. That's like my life basically. But, you know, at the same time, I absolutely love that personal touch on things. So like you say, being able to do that. And I love it, how it's been it's a launching pad for so many people. And like you said, it's not like we're like, hey, you know, we're done with merch. Merch is freaking awesome. And we're really still pushing, like you said, there's Q4, and we're making sure that we're putting time into it as well. And the same thing with the physical products. We're making sure to put our time in for Amazon, like our new product, like we're going to be launching it through Amazon. But we also, like I said, want to have our own brand. So we're going to be learning that alongside. And so it just shows just the abundance that is out there and different things that you can actually do. And so I think that's awesome that you guys are realizing that and just kind of being able to niche down. And over this past year, what you've learned through merch and everything, I sure you're going to be able to apply a ton of that, you know, to, you know, the Etsy business and merch and whatever else. Like you said, if you guys are going to go and have your Shopify store and then drive traffic and then be able to communicate with your customers directly and offer them promotions directly. And, you know, when you launch something new, share that with them, and, you know, you're going to be getting sales already because they love your stuff and they love your style. And it's not like, oh my gosh, we're going to have, you know, like you said, 50 people jumping on this when I'm actually making it for a specific group of people that I know they're going to like it. So
yeah. I mean, and for the record, you go to Target to buy shit you don't need.
True.
You go to Amazon to buy. I guess you could go on Amazon and buy stuff, but I mean, like Target is just like, it just pulls you in. You see all these sparkly things. They light it up so pretty. And like, that's why I like going there. It's just like,
that's me in Costco. That's me in Costco and the samples.
Too.
I mean, Kenzie's all about, I mean, I'm telling you right now, she gets very disappointed when we're going there and she's like, where's the samples right now? I'm like, oh, sorry, wrong time of the day, honey. Like, but we go, I mean, it's like a once a week thing. We're like, and it's funny because obviously it's bulk stuff, but we, yeah, big time.
I saw a meme earlier this week about Target, and basically it was like, okay, you don't go and tell Target what you're going to get. Target tells you what you're going to get. And that's the truth.
It is so true. Like today we went there and I think I was like, oh, I need some dry shampoo and I kind of want to look for like at their Halloween stuff. And we walked out with like $150 of Halloween.
Like, I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've walked in there going, okay, I'm going to get this. And I walk out with 20 different things and not that.
Yeah, that happens often too. Yeah.
That's why we just signed up for Instacart and paid the subscription. So we don't do this anymore.
I thought that was just for food.
It's for Costco.
I don't do all that.
Yeah.
Oh, if it's for no, but that's the fun thing about Costco. Like look, all the stuff we found.
No, we go to Costco and it should be $150 and we walk out with $500 worth of shit. But
we always say to each other when we're leaving.
But you're so happy about it. Like you're so excited.
I don't know how many times we've left the store spending like $350, but he goes, but we didn't really buy anything we didn't necessarily not like need.
Oh my goodness, my husband and I have that same conversation every week. Well, you know, technically, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. Well, let me see. I don't think, because we're really obviously bad at this, because before we didn't really have a ton of ability to look at, you know, any of the comments or anything. So I am not seeing if there's any specific things. Kind of cool. So Ron had mentioned that he's working on his B2B. I know, you know what? How about that, Erin? I know that, you know, that was something, it's definitely something that's in Matt's wheelhouse. Is that something that's kind of tabled at the moment? Because obviously Q4 is coming and there's a lot of stuff to focus on there. Are you guys kind of like moving that back, or is it something that's kind of in the mix right now?
I mean, it's kind of in the mix. I think it's probably moving a little bit slower than he wants, but it's definitely still on the table because I think it's so much in his wheelhouse. I don't know. It's like we just keep getting like pulled, and we need to like, because sometimes like he'll see like a kick in sales on merch, and then he's like merch, and then I'm like, but you're losing focus of where. And I do the same thing. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like sometimes I'm like, but like B2B could potentially make us like 10 times what we made today on merch. You know what I mean? Like, so I think we like really need to focus, but it's hard because like we're already doing the merch thing. Like we already know what to do. We know what we're doing with that. So the B2B is still kind of new and like building it. And so it doesn't seem as fun because you're just like, oh, you know, and you're going to be doing it for a while and probably not get anything in return. So then you're like, well, maybe I should focus on merch because now like this thing is selling, or, you know, and it's hard. Like
it is. It's really hard.
Yeah. So, and then I'm like, you know, all about Etsy usually, but, because like the stuff with me and B2B, I'm not doing any of the business stuff. I'll be doing whatever shirts they need, or I don't even know. So it's not really anything I feel like I can do on my end as far as legwork. So it's kind of just waiting for them to, because I think it's him and his business partner are just trying to get things going. But
yeah,
it's still there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's totally, so, I mean, for instance, I hear you with that. And it's really easy to kind of get off base and just get into the zone of just doing things. And like, for instance, this happens with John and I pretty regularly because we kind of, we're working together and we're pretty much around each other, all day long because we're both working from home. And so, but we're both like, we have our own tasks to do and we have Kenzie. And so like, we're weaving stuff in. And so once like Kenzie goes down, or if we get up before she wakes up, like we like jump in and we're working on our own stuff. And so like, we actually just had to schedule, and this happens, we don't do it as regularly as we need to, but we realize like, hey, we need to sit down, and we actually have scheduled tomorrow morning. We have a couple hours that is totally carved out so we're away from our computers. We're just sitting at a table and we need to game plan, write stuff down. We actually just purchased some of those roll up whiteboards that it can like stick on the wall. So those to be delivered in a couple days, and we're just going to like make it our war room, and like, we're just going to agree on what we're going to focus on. And that's what we're going to focus on. And so, and again, you guys, this is something that we've been working together for years, and it's a constant that, you just get into a groove and you get doing stuff, and then you just kind of have to back it out and be like, okay, let's regroup. Let's, see what, and then that's just the best way so that, you can maximize each one of your efforts, and that they're actually working together instead of like somebody's doing this over here and somebody's doing this over here. And if you guys were just like come together a little bit more, then it's like, okay, then it's synergistic.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I feel like we did really well for a while there where we were like every night we would sit down, we each had our little planners, and we would like write down the things that we wanted to do that day, and he would have me even write it out like hour to hour almost, like, okay, from here, from 12 to 3, let's do work on this. And it really seemed to work. But the hardest thing is one small thing changes in your life or happens, and it's just like it's just everything goes out the window almost. And I'm like, and to like get back to that space is so hard sometimes, when it's like, but in your mind, you're like, it was working so good. Why can't we just do it again? But, so it's really that, it's like getting back into that groove, because once you're out of it, it seems to take so long to kind of get the wheels turning again.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree. And I think that, it's just, and I think that's just, again, that's just going to be kind of part of it. And you recognize it a little sooner, I think, each time, but I don't think that we'll ever be immune to it for sure. I think that it's always just going to be something that happens, and, you just kind of get back on track, and you figure out I think that's the thing too. Like, you have to figure out what it is for you to help you get back on track, whether it is that regrouping, or like you talked about, like reading early in the morning. I know for me, because there's just been things like that I've done throughout the years. We had talked about this on a previous show with Amy. There's the 90-day runs, and there's sticking to different things, or getting up like super early in the morning. And I've started incorporating that intentionally a few days a week, when it has workouts, and then, doing the readings. And that does get my brain going and get me in the right frame of mind to kind of have that energy and focus, to really, I don't know if you want to call it like center you, so that you're just not like, oh my gosh, all over the place. But yeah, that's definitely something that helps me for sure, is getting in and diving in and doing, reading for mostly business stuff. I mean, whether it's mindset or business stuff or spiritual things, I think those are kind of like the three that I kind of focus on. But is there anything that you guys do specifically that you can feel is kind of like, okay, if I'm getting off base or whatever, like this is the one thing that when I recognize it, I can pull myself back in, by using something, or trying to figure that out still?
I feel like, no, we don't have that. And I think that's maybe something we like you were saying that. And I was like, no, we don't. I feel like that's what we really need to be better at, when we do fly off that handle a little bit, because we get sucked into a different direction, be like, no, I don't care what happened today or what's happening. We just need to just take 10 minutes and do that one thing that we know does well for us. And just, who cares that, it's your friend's birthday. It's like, fine, when you get home, take 10 minutes and do that one thing, not like, oh, I'm tired, I don't want to do it, we'll do it tomorrow. Because then tomorrow happens, and then the next day happens, and then it's just, I think what we really need to do is have that, I don't know, goal is probably not the word I'm looking for, but just really have that like repetition in our brain that this has to happen whenever possible. I mean, if it's impossible, obviously not, but like just making that time to do that.
Yeah, I know for me, like I'm off track right now. When I was every day writing down my goals and doing the 90-day challenge or whatever, I was doing really, really well. And then my kids ended up coming down with colds, and then I got sick, and then it just kind of flew out the window. And it's basically been trying to just kind of get back on the rails. And it's hard sometimes because it's like, oh, tomorrow. And then it's tomorrow's tomorrow, and then it's tomorrow's tomorrow. And here you are where it's like, you need to get it done. You need to do these things. Q4, hello, it's here. And this is the time when it's like, okay, you really need to get down to brass tacks. But it's sometimes really difficult to hone back in, focus, and be intentional about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, and I also think one of the biggest problems is that when you're in that space where you're doing it and you're going and it's working, and then you get sidetracked, coming back, I still feel like you don't come back to where you were. I feel like you come back and it's blown out again. So now you're seeing everything, because then you're thinking about all the stuff you haven't been taking care of.
Yes.
Like it's piling up, and it's piling up in your mind, and it's piling up on your desk, and it's piling up everywhere. And so I feel like that's the biggest, another big thing is that you have to break it down and focus and like do one thing, and know like your limits and like what you can do in a day. Because if you start thinking, well, I need to get all of this done, well, that's a month and a half worth of work. So you're not going to get it done in a day or a week. And you have to know that and sort of break it down and be like, okay, I need to do this, then this, then this, because I think that's where you start to feel overwhelmed. And me, when I'm overwhelmed, I'm like, screw it. I can't like bury my head in the sand because I don't want to face it. I'm like, I'm like, oh, Matt will do it. And that doesn't work either, So it's more just like, it's really kind of just focusing and knowing your limits and getting the stuff done that is most important, and then moving on from there and starting back up again.
Now, do you have any tips for somebody who is feeling overwhelmed and wants to stick their head in the sand? Like, what can they do to maybe not do that and just take a step forward?
I honestly think that it's what Gary Vee says, just do. You can't stop. You can't just walk away. You can't bury your head in the sand. Get your head out of the sand, pick one thing on your list and concentrate on that day. Like, okay, I need to get 20 listings up in Etsy, or I need to make these changes to Etsy listings, or I want to do some designing for Christmas, or whatever it is, find that one thing and just focus on that, and then everything else will fall into place, and you'll start to get into that groove again. Because I think that's the biggest thing is just don't stop and don't just walk away, unless it's for like a break, because you do need to do that. But, it's just kind of, I think that's probably the biggest thing, because sometimes all it's going to do is delay everything even more and pile up even more. And you're not going to feel better. You're going to get more anxiety or depressed or whatever it is. So I feel like just find one thing that you can concentrate on that day and do it and complete it.
I love that, because I think it really is simple to focus in on just one thing. If it's researching for 30 minutes, if it's designing one t-shirt, if it's optimizing one listing, because then you're feeling like you're headed in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. One thing, and that's all it is.
Yeah, and like you're
one little
checking
thing
off the box, like your list, you're checking that box. And like, have you ever made a list and then crossed something out or made a check next to it? Does it just? And I am not a type A person that's like totally like I need to make a list and like everything's in order. Like I'm not. I'm chaos. But when I create that list and I cross that one thing off, even if it's something so minuscule, I feel so good. Like, yes, I did one thing, and then it motivates you to keep doing it, to keep crossing those things off the list. So I think that's it. Just keep doing it.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I think that that is some great advice from you ladies. So hopefully, everybody is going to kind of take that in and, take that to heart when you guys are, feeling a little overwhelmed. Q4, I can tell you this right now, like we're in the midst of it. It's funny because for the past whatever few years, especially with it on the physical product side, it's just like Q4 is just like a whirlwind. It is absolute insanity. And it's not like with merch, it's insanity in the fun part because you're like, ooh, sales. But with, with the physical product side of it, it's just like right now, like we have 2 main products and our suppliers are like so backed up and it's killing us because our sales are outrunning, and I'm just like, this is driving me crazy. Like we've had orders of like massive orders in and they're awesome, people, but I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is just not happening. And so anyways, like there's like that stress that goes along with that. And then, it's just kind of like keeping your head on right. And, like you said, just focusing on what you can do. Don't spread yourself too thin. And, you guys, like I said, we're given some great info on that. Like personally, when we were like talking about like the different books and things like that, one of the things that was triggering in my mind when you were saying the, getting off track and stuff, there's a really good book called The Entrepreneur Roller Coaster and by Darren Hardy. And I think that, there's a lot of different things in there that I think that can speak to everybody that's on this journey, no matter where you're at in it. I could go back and reread it. I have before. I could go back and reread it right now and probably pull out a ton of different things that are so applicable to what's going on right now. And, I think that one of the things is realizing whether it's, your health or your life, or even whether you're doing this part-time or taking care of your kids. And like you said, sometimes you feel like you get off course. The trick is, to figure out what's going to get you back on track the fastest. So like you have those highs and there's always going to be lows. There's always going to be lows in life. And I think that the ability to kind of shrink those lows or make those lows a little less because that they're going to be temporary, then that keeps you in a solid state of mind to be able to get out of that low and pull yourself back up. But again, just and then when you're up, gratitude, have a ton of gratitude. I think personally for me, if I'm feeling that truly is the number one thing for me is gratitude. And I could feel incredibly overwhelmed and I could feel like everything's out of control and oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? And then if I just stop for 1 second and realize, oh my God, like I have a loving husband and I have a beautiful, healthy daughter and I have a roof over my head and I have food to eat. Seriously, going back to that and just like stopping for a second, that feeling changes like that. It's like
it puts everything in perspective. It really does.
Absolutely. I mean, it sounds so like simple and basic, but I'm saying, and like even, just like getting that, I think that's the one habit that truly will help lessen the blows. When you feel like, oh my gosh, stuff's coming at me from all angles, why is this happening? Like, try to deal with it. And those little things, it can be like, okay, you know what? Like, all of that is just such small stuff, and everything that's major, I'm just so thankful for. So, I think that's kind of.
And even when merch isn't going the way that you want it to go, well, be grateful that you have this platform because not everybody is afforded this opportunity and you have the potential to make something great of it. You're going to have to work. Yes, there's more competition. Yes. But if you work at it, if you stay level headed and just keep, doing the one thing, it'll pay off. And it's important to remember that, okay, it might not be what you're wanting right now, but be grateful that you even have the ability to upload anything on this platform.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Erin. I'm so excited that you decided to pop on here. I absolutely love it. It was awesome. You did great, and I do expect a YouTube channel from you.
And you need to come on with us more regularly.
I know. And I'll probably just, if I do, I don't really know. Like I said, I don't really know what this is going to become or whatever, but I mean, I'll probably just add them on to the Merch Elephant because we already have sort of our people there. And, but I think before I go, I want to say that if you're in a space where you can't seem to get out and it's dark, just know that you're worth it. You're worth something, and reach out and ask for help, because there's people everywhere that can do that and help you or just talk to you or whatever it is. So just know that.
100%. Yes.
Yeah. And you guys know where to find her too. Like, obviously we just said Merch Elephant. So write that. Matt will get that over to her. And again, we'll probably be seeing her on there soon. So anyways, love it. Again, thank you so much. And we had a blast like always. Love Tuesday evening nights. And we didn't have any crazy technical difficulties, you guys. We started this like just tonight with this new format. Like I said, next week we will be on the official Girl Boss channel. So we just kind of took over this one. Like I said, my stale old YouTube one. But you guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we're really excited to be able to do this and bringing some more girl bosses out so everybody can hear from them, because I know people have been wanting to hear from you, Erin. So again, thank you so much, and I know everybody is really appreciative for you stepping out of your comfort zone, and they're going to expect more from you. So that's it. You got to do it.
You rock. You need to. Like you just said, you're worth it. So
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well,
you,
yeah, well, everybody have a great night, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.